Welcome back on AML study by Sahel. So wait is over. So most interesting topic is what is the 40 recommendation of Financial Action Task Force. In previous presentation, I explained the overview, the FATF and how FATF is the work and everything I explained in previous presentation. So today I will explain what is the FATF recommendation and they are also revised in time to time, and what is the amendment in the FATF which is time happened in time to time. So it's also like an interesting topic, and it's you can can say it is the most important and most relevant topic in current words and in current scenarios of financial institutions. So today I will in detail discuss international standards on combating money laundering and the financing of terrorism and proliferations. So today our learning objectives are is the FATF, how FATF work, then provide a complete set of countermeasures and important changes made to the recommendation in 2003. Then 9 special recommendation which is 2012, highlights of the 2012 revision of the 40 recommendations, FATF 40 recommendation. Later on we will at the end we will discuss it. So the Financial Action Task Force is an independent intergovernmental body. They develop and promote policies to protect the global financial system against money laundering, terrorist financing, and the financing of proliferation of weapons of mass destructions. The FATF recommendations are recognized as the global anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing standards, and many international regulatory bodies are also taken the advantage these recommendation as well. They are strongly recommended to fulfill the FATF recommendations. Firstly, this recommendation is introduced in 1989. So that time it was meeting was held in Paris, France. So firstly they introduced these recommendation, and time to time they update as well. They revised these recommendation in 1996. That time FATF was working they are took a mandate for took a mandate every 5 years. So then they also revised the FATF recommendation in 2003 as well. They introduced some recommendation regarding to terrorist financing in 2003. So I will discuss in the next slides what is the actually they are revised and how it will affect the financial institutions as well as affect non-financial institutions. Then it's last revised in 2012, and they also revised in their new payment methods, new products, also how can we calculate the risk, these type of products. So we will discuss in coming slides what actually revised in 2012. So this one is a note. FATF has also issued various interpretative notes designed to clarify the application of specific recommendations and to provide additional guidance. Like if you you are stuck in any recommendation, FATF also introduce there is some clarifications. If you want to some guidance, you can took from the FATF. They also clearly given the instructions. If you are stuck in anywhere, you can consult with FATF body. So first we will discuss provide a complete set of countermeasures. Once we are implemented 40 recommendation, there is some countermeasures which is provide FATF, and what is the actually they are given us why we are implementing these 40 recommendations. You know, every action have reactions. So this is the reaction of the FATF recommendation have become the world's blueprint for the effective national and international AML and CFT controls. The recommendation provide a complete set of countermeasures against money laundering and terrorist financing, which is covering identification of risk and development of appropriate policies. Look, once you are trying to implement these recommendations in your institution, in your country, you need to calculate the risk. Which type of risk happened. First one, you need to scope of the risk, then you identify the risk, then you need to put there some controls, mitigations, then there is a residual risk came. Like there is a process of a risk, how you can calculate these risk. So basically you can say, first one, identify the risk. Second, there is once you calculate the risk, it will come inherent risk. Later on, it will you put some controls, mitigations, then it will residual risk, and you will take a decision on the basis of your residual risk. Then criminal justice system and law enforcement. That also check the what is the actually effect of these criminal justice system of the countries, and what is the law enforcement, how they work in the countries, and how they are strongly, forcefully they are implemented their law. Either they are just fulfill a requirement, and they are not actually practically there is not fulfilling these law enforcement. So FATF also check these things. Financial system and its regulation. Yes, they also check the how type of financial system work in the country, and which type of regulation. Either suppose in high risk countries, easily we can get the financial institution license, and we can given service as well. We are not put a strong you can say monitoring rules, policies, and the money launderer and terrorist financer took the advantage on these things, and they easily laundered money, and also given money to terrorist terrorist attackers. So also this is provide this type of things. Transparency of legal person and arrangement. Yes, this is also interesting things. Legal person, many time in many companies, a legal person just like a register legal person in registered legal companies. They are created companies, and they are given arrangement for to the money launderer as a terrorist financer. Reason is that because of if you are process the transaction individual, it will not you can send more money. So then you need to create a legal person, either a legal arrangement. So in this way also FATF check the which type of laws, regulations implemented in the country. International cooperation. Yes, this is also one of the major countermeasures. FATF always check how much this country is ready to cooperation with other countries. Like supposed to if a countryman did any wrong thing, and he just travel to another country, and if his her home country want to approach that person, so you need to cooperate, and as well there is different type of other cooperations regarding to stop terrorist financing and money laundering. So in this type of international cooperation also FATF check. So first I will check. I will explain important changes to made recommendation in 2003. The most important change made to recommendation in 2003 were as follow. They expanded the coverage to include terrorist financing. Before FATF is not strongly came, and the FATF did not given strong policy against terrorist financing. But after 9/11, they are putting more attention on these terrorist financing, and they are given a recommendation regarding to terrorist financing as well. We named the categories of the business that should be covered by national laws, including real estate, precious metal dealers, accountants, lawyers, and trust service provided company. In 2003 they are introduced, as well as they are also given the instruction regarding to this real estate agent, and there is a precious metal like gold market, diamond market, as well there is a precious art market. So they also try to put some checks on these industries. As well there is accountant, these professionals also working in a key position. So they also given many type of suggestions to how we can do the money laundering and terrorist financing, because they knows very well how to defend to in courts, in different jurisdictions, how can we defend. So they are the lawyers, accountants, notaries, they are very familiar with the laws, and they easily did wrong things, they did the wrongful things, as well follow the rules. So because they know the loophole of the law, that is the major thing. Trust and service company are also these also I am if you check my previous presentations, I very well explain which type of designated financial businesses as well non-designated financial businesses. Specified compliance procedures on issues such as customer identification and due diligence, including enhanced identifications measures for high risk customers and transactions. Yes, sometimes there is a high risk customers, so we need to check enhanced due diligence, as well there is if high risk customers, if there is a PEP should be high risk customer. If there is a correspondent bank, this one also high risk. If there is a nesting account, it also in a high risk. So once any high risk transaction, you need to do some EDD, you need to check either this transaction is legal or not. So on the basis of your research, you can take a decision regarding to transaction. Adopted a clear definition of money laundering predicate offenses. Yes, before this is not a clear definitions of money laundering predicate offenses, and in 2003 they also explain and clearly define what is the actually money laundering. Encourage prohibition, so-called shell bank. Yes, nowadays there is a lot of money laundering happened through shell bank, shell companies. So if you don't understand what is the shell company, shell banks, you should go my previous lectures. I explained very well what is actually shell bank and shell companies and why they are created and established these type of companies. So I strongly recommend you go my previous presentations. You can check and you will get the more idea about these type of firms. International cooperation, terrorist financing investigation. Yes, before I also explained the during countermeasures. Every international cooperation, there is many countries, they have FIUs and name is different in different countries, but there is a one financial intelligence units which is cooperate with other countries regarding to terrorist financing and money laundering. So they need to they enhance this recommendation, and they are more focused, and they are also given instruction countries they should given cooperation with other countries regarding to terrorist financing as well. So there is a regarding terrorist financing, there is a 9 special recommendation invented in 2012. First we will discuss a 9 recommendation, later on we will discuss what is actually revised in 2012. So in 2012, the recommendation was revised again, incorporating a 9 special recommendation of on terrorist financing in the 40 recommendation. Later on, this recommendation merged in within the 40 recommendation, but in 2012 they just introduced these 9 special recommendations. The first one is the creation of a recommendation on assessing risk and applying risk-based approach to all AML efforts. Yes, it is not a good idea to monitor all transaction in the same way. because there is maybe some transactions are low risk, some is medium, some is high risk. So they said you need to put a focus on the like high risk, and this approach is called risk-based approach. So you can say this is most effective, appropriate, and flexible approach, because every organization has a limited resources, and they want to get maximum return on these resources. So this approach is very well and helpful to utilize maximum their limited resources. Creation of a recommendation for targeting financial sanctions related to proliferation of a weapon of mass destruction. Yes, they are come with this strongly against this mass destruction, weapon of mass destruction. So this is also special recommendation which is come from FATF. More attention on domestic political exposed person, which is known as PEP, and those interested with the prominent function by an international organism. PEP is easily can do these things because they have some influence in the country-wise as well. If you are international PEP, foreign PEP, this is some influence on the institutions. They can easily they easily can do wrong things. So FATF also given recommendation we need to put more focus on these type of persons. New requirement for the identification and assessment of risk of new product prior to launch of new product. Yes, I also explained in previous lectures which type of new products and how they are create more risk, and why this is under the high risk. So I strongly recommend on this. If you want to understand which type of new products, you should go my previous lectures. You will easily understand what is the new products. New requirements for financial groups to implement group-wide AML program and have a procedure for sharing information within the group. So if you are not compromising information within the group, so how can you continue your strong efforts? So they also recommend that we need to focus on sharing information within the group. Inclusion of the tax crime within the scope of designated categories of offenses for money laundering. So these are the special recommendation which is occurred in 2012, and later on this one as well merged in 40 recommendations. Now this is the most important topic today. This is what is the 40 recommendation. So I will explain what is the 40 recommendations. First one, the FATF is categorized in A. Then they are explained one by one. So I also try to explain in the same way. First one, AML, anti-money laundering, counter-terrorism financing policies and cooperation coordinations. This recommendation is from 1 to 2. Then money laundering and confiscations. This is recommendation from 3 to 4. Terrorist financing and financing of proliferation, which is from 5 to 8. Financial and non-financial institution preventative measures. How we take a measures, a preventive measure to stop the money laundering and this recommendation is from 9 to 23. Then transparency and beneficial ownership of legal persons and arrangement. This one is from 24 to 25. Then power and responsibility of a competent authority and other institution measures. This one is from 23 to 35. Then last one group is international cooperation. That recommendation from 36 to 40. So let's discuss now one by one, and what is actually recommendation and how we need to implement in our country. So what is the actually the purpose of the recommendation? I will explain what is the actually this recommendation is saying. First one is assessing risk and applying a risk-based approach. I also explain what is the assessing risk and what is the risk-based approach. Both things I explained. So again, I will give a short brief. Assessing the risk, which type of risk? Terrorist, we are only talking right now, we are only talking about anti-money laundering and terrorist financing risk. And we need to apply the risk-based approach. We need to calculate the risk. You can say first there is inherent risk, then we need to put some mitigation, then residual risk came, and on the basis of residual risk we need to apply risk-based approach, like which customer is like there is suppose your company have 500 customers, there is only 400 customer is in low and medium risk and 100 in high risk. So you need to put more mitigation on 100 customer which is came in high risk. So this is the risk-based approach, and we need to more focus and more attention on that 100 customer which is came in high risk. Then national cooperation and coordination. Last slide I also explained so how we cooperate with the other country. The FATF strongly recommend when the countries should cooperation with other countries and coordination if there is required regarding to terrorist financing and money laundering. So then third one is money laundering offenses. Before central bank FATF said this is offense, and money laundering is a very big offense, and you should be treated it as of money laundering as a offense. But in many countries right now people are not thinking this is a offense. They are like on same breath they are saying okay it's a money laundering, but FATF said this is offense. You're supposed to be make a strong laws against these things, and you need to stop this thing, because if you are not stopping your money laundering, so it will very bad effect on your people, your like poor people, because rich people will easily did the money laundering, and the country is going to underdevelop. You know, nowadays which countries is you can say is poor countries, third world countries, there is politicians and big businessmen easily did money laundering from these countries, and they put the money from like developed countries. So in this way the country is going to down step by step, and as well they are not recovered. So FATF given recommendation we need to put money laundering as a like in a offense, and you should be treated like an offense. So confiscation and provisional measures. Yes, you need to put measures against these confiscations and provisional measures to stop these type of things. So you you should put more energy on these things. Terrorist financing offense. Yes, many countries there is a few countries which is in under sanction. They are not thinking terrorist financing offense. They need central bank FATF recommend we need to put a terrorist financing offense on it. Then target financial sanctions related to terrorism and terrorist financing. You know what is the sanctions? I explained in previous lectures what is the sanctions and what is the effect of these type of sanctions. So if you not familiar with the word of sanctions, later on I will record a complete lecture regarding to sanctions, and there is different type of sanction regarding to like target sanctions, sector sanctions, then compulsory sanctions. So I will explain in later what is the type of sanction, but here you need to understand only targeted financial sanction related to terrorism and target terrorist financing. Target financial sanction related to proliferation. Yes, non-profit organization. FATF strongly given recommendation we need to check and balance on non-profit organization, because the money launderer and terrorist financer easily hurt these type of organizations, and they take advantage from these type of organizations. financial institutions secrecy laws as well. FATF given recommendation we need to put like a financial institution secrecy law, because no need to share every information with others. So there is a secrecy law, like if any information you get from international and through international cooperation, and you will not allowed to share with anyone. So it's there should be a law which information we need to share with the like relevant bodies. Customer due diligence, we need to audit due diligence on if there is a high risk customers, if there is a PEP customer, we put a customer more due diligence. If their customer money value transfer, we need to put more due diligence. If there is a like a precious metals, like if there is a casino business. So if there is a guideline came from FATF, which customer is we need to consider high risk, and we put more due diligence on these type of customers. No, as well, FATF given the recommendation, but this 11 recommendation record keeping is very country to country. But FATF recommendation is saying we keep our record, at least in a 5 year, because if we want any once we have started any investigation and we need some information, we can pull out this type of information. So that's why they are given recommendation. We should keep our record at least 5 years from the day of a transaction. Political exposed persons. FATF also explained what is the political exposed person. I will explain later, because before last lectures I explained what is it. There is a different type of PEP, like foreign PEP and local PEP. Local PEP is which is working in a state-owned companies. There is also regarding to owning any political party designated. They are working any high level of designated, and same like if they are foreign as well, they are working in a designated government, intergovernment bodies. So these type of person is regarding to PEP. So we need to more focus if we found any transaction related to like a PEP. Corresponding banking, yes, because corresponding banking also in a high risk, because you don't have a first-hand information, because if there is a bank A and bank B is providing a corresponding service, so bank B don't have the first-hand information, because first-hand information with the bank A. So these type of transaction are also coming in high risk. Then money and money value transfer service, this is also coming under high risk. New technologies also, because nowadays world is totally changed, and on one click we just put up one click and we can transfer the money from one place to another place in the world. So this is also come in a high risk. Then wire transfer as well come in a high risk. Reliance on third parties, yes, if you are doing the transaction on the behalf of third party, either third party is doing transaction on behalf of you. This is also come from central bank. FATF said we need to focus on this type of transaction as well. Internal controls and foreign branches and subsidiaries also they given recommendation regarding to these things. High risk countries, FATF given the recommendation regarding to high risk countries, how we can deal the recommended high risk country. FATF also giving different type of rating. So in a next presentation I will explain how FATF countries become a member of FATF, and how FATF is given rating, how they are calculate the country risk, and how they are monitor the country's risk, and how countries can reduce their risk. So FATF given the countries ranking on the basis of their recommendations, and they also given how we can treat these high risk countries. Then reporting of suspicious transactions. If there is any central bank, FATF given us a recommendation, we need to given put a suspicious activity. If there is any you found during your transaction, you given intimation to your regulatory body. Like in UAE, we are working under central bank, and if there is suspicious transaction, we need to give a STR through GoML to FIDs. So FATF given recommendation, we need to raise STRs, and they also explain. Yes, tipping off and confidentiality. During you are working in a financial institution, you have very confidential information. So FATF is given the recommendation, don't disclose the information. This is under the term of tipping off, and there is many penalties if you are doing tipping off. Like you have a very confidential information because you are working in a designated financial institution, either the designated non-financial businesses, but you have some confidential information. You are not go and disclose with the publicly. So they also given some recommendation and penalties. If anybody do this one, the court will given the penalize these type of persons. Then 22 is designated non-financial business professions. We need to customer due diligence. I also explained very well in previous lectures. Then which type of other measures we need to talk. 24, transparency and beneficiary ownership of legal persons. It is very difficult to got the information who is the ultimate beneficiary of the legal persons, legal companies, because of they prep people as well, and the top businessmen who want to do money laundering. They are not registered the company with his name, with her name. They just register the company with the third persons, and they take advantage of this. So it's FATF given the recommendation how we can recognize the beneficiary owner of the company, legal persons. So they also given some tactics how we can recognize transparency and beneficiary ownership for legal arrangement as well. There is a legal arrangement is a big task. So they given how can we recognize these things. Regulation and supervision of financial institutions. How financial institution regulate in the country, and how the regulatory body monitor the financial institution, which type of the policies introducing in their country, and how they mitigate the mitigate the risk of terrorist financing and money laundering. They are given the recommendation, and they check time to time, and they get the result. Either this country is put regulations, and either the country is they can put the regulation, but they did not properly supervise of the financial institutions. So this one is also a recommendation, which is countries need to fulfill. Power of supervisor. Yes, if you have regulations, you have a regulatory body, but you are not given enough power to that's the regulatory bodies. So how can they are implement, and they implement their policies, procedure. So recommendation also check the supervisor power. Regulation and supervision of designated non-professional business professions. Then financial intelligence unit. FATF given the instruction every country should have financial intelligence unit, and that is responsible to put a check and balance in the country regarding to proliferation of money laundering, terrorist financing. So the FIU should be coordinate with other countries and cooperation as well. There is a recommendation previous. Last one I also explained. Responsibility of law enforcement and investigation authorities. Yes, what is the responsibility of the law enforcement, and how can these investigative authorities to authorize investigators authorities, how they investigate the if there is anything is wrong happened in the country, what is their responsibility. As FATF closely monitor these things. Then power of law enforcement and investigative authorities, yes, same. What is how much power have law enforcement, and how strongly they can investigate these things, and which type of power the country's power to share with these bodies. Cash couriers, we need to they given recommendation if like importing cash from one country to another country, so they also given recommendation as well. There is on statistics numbers of these things, and as well they are check the count numbers of these investigations, and how much they are raising STRs, these type of statistics numbers as well. Check FATF. Guidance and feedback, yes, once there is feedback, then we will analyze what is the actually result came. So feedback is also very important. So 35 is sanctions. So what is the sanction? How is the reason of the sanction? Why a country put in sanctions? And what is the effect on the economy if any country is sanctions? So it is also FATF given recommendation on sanctions. International instruments, yes, you can use this one as an instrument, and you will cooperate with other countries, and if you need any assistance from other country, you can took as part of FATF guidance. Mutual legal assistance, there is a one document which is a contract between two countries regarding to, they will share the information regarding to money laundering and terrorist financing. This is called legal mutual assistance. Central Bank FATF also given strongly recommendation countries should provide the legal assistance to other countries. So because of this, they are like catch the criminals. Mutual legal assistance, freezing and confiscation. Yes, there should be, they need to freeze their assets and confiscations as well. Extraditions, if there is found any person who is did wrongful, so they given the extradition to there is home countries, which is started the investigation where the person is did any wrong thing. So that the other country, once they did the investigation on the behalf of another country, they given the extraditions. Other forms of international cooperation, this is the last and very important. Every countries should cooperate with other countries and given relevant information to other countries, which is called international cooperations. Because of if anybody did wrong things in one country and he shifted to another country, and that country is not ready to cooperate, so whole exercise is meaningless. So FATF given recommendation, we need to cooperate with other countries if anything is happened. So this is also very important recommendations. So highlights of 2012 revision of the FATF recommendation. Because of their lecture is going to lengthy, so I will try to wind up as soon as possible. Some highlights of the 2012 revision of the 40 recommendation are risk-based approach. Yes, in 2012 like FATF said, we need to apply risk-based approach. This one is the design for financial institutions different type of countries. Risk-based approach, I already explained in a detail what is the risk-based approach and why FATF is given focused on this, and how we apply risk-based approach, and what is the advantage of this risk-based approach, and how can we take a maximum advantage of this approach. Because okay, again I will explain. Every company don't have the enough resources, and every institution, either financial or non-financial, they want to put a minimum expense on anything because they want maximum profit. So risk-based approach just said we need to focus on high-risk customers. So in this case we need to competitive, we need less resources. So that's why they are recommending we need to put a risk-based approach. Designated categories are offenses. before there is not a categorized the offensive, and in this like in 2012 they revised and they given the designated these offenses. So they also they said we need to given some countries should also put in a place provision to allow for the confiscation of a proceeding crime or other prevented criminal from having access to their criminal proceeds. And then is terrorist financing and proliferation. This is revised in 2012. Countries should impose sanction regime that will allow them to freeze the assets of persons designated by the United Nations Security Council for involvement in terrorism or the proliferation of a weapon of mass destructions. Then knowledge and criminal liabilities. The recommendation include the concept that is knowledge required for the offences of money laundering. Money laundering may be inferred from objective factual circumstances. This is similar to what is known is some countries as willful blindness. Willful blindness is like if you knows but you are not disclosing with your authorities. This is willful blindness. You know this transaction is wrong. This is involved. There is a terrorist financer as well. There is involving some money launderer, but you are not disclosing with your top management. So this is under the comma willful blindness. Then CDD, customer due diligence. Yes. They also revised which customers we need to apply CDD. Once you are establishing new relationship, like a business relationship, either you are carry out the occasional transaction or wire transfer above the specific threshold, because there is a threshold in different countries. Then have a suspension of money laundering and terrorist financing. Either you have a doubt about the veracity or advocacy of previously obtained customer identification information. So then in this case you need to do due diligence. And then we need to do enhanced due diligence if there is a PEP customer, if there is a correspondent payments, if there is a money, if there is a money value transfer, if there is wire transfer, we need to enhance due diligence on this type of relationship. Then STR, SAR in 2012 also revised what is the suspicious transactions and how it will affect the institutions and how we can given more strength to our financial institution with the raising of STR. Then they also expanded the coverage of the industry. They also put some mitigation on casinos, real estates, and real estate agents, dealer in precious metal, lawyer and trust and company services provided. As well, that time they also put a threshold before there is no threshold. There is if there is a occasional customer transaction for casino, they include 15,000 USD threshold. But if there is online through the internet, there is a 3,000 USD. You can did this limit transaction. If there is a below the beyond the limit, we need to put more mitigations. Then transparency and beneficiary ownership of the legal person arrangement. Countries should take appropriate measure to prevent the misuse of a legal person for money laundering or terrorist financing, including ensuring information about the beneficiary ownership and control of such legal persons is available to competent authorities, particular with regard to legal persons that can issue bearer shares or have a nominee shareholder or directors. Then power and responsibility of competent authorities. Countries should implement measures to redact the physical cross-border movement and currencies and build a negotiable instrument. The authorities should provide a meaningful statistic guidance and feedback on AML, CFT systems. And last is international cooperations. Several recommendations deal with the strengthening international cooperation. Countries should rapidly, constructively, and effectively provide the widest possible range of mutual legal assistance in money laundering and terrorist financing investigations. Investigation, freezing, then confiscation of criminal proceeds, extraditions, and the other matters. Countries should rectify United Nations conventions against significant criminal terrorism. So these all is revised in 2012. So I try to explain the maximum in a short of time. So today the topic is closed. Thank you very much, and hope you get some idea about the FATF recommendation, and what is like a recommendation saying, and how we can implement in our system. So how it will affect in our system. So guys, in a coming session I will try to explain what is the FATF members and how they observe and how they are calculating the risk of the members, and then we will discuss fundamental criteria of getting memberships. Then there is a technical criteria, then as well there is mutual evaluation as well there. Then I will in next lecture I will explain why countries is not like cooperating with FATF, and what they will face, which type of sanctions they face if they are not cooperating with the FATF. So I will explain in a next lecture how countries took the rating from FATF. So hopefully the next lecture will be very informative for you. So keep in touch with me. Then hopefully you will get the idea how FATF given the membership, and how FATF given the rating to the different type of countries, and if the countries is not ready to cooperate, the put a country in high risk. So other legal bodies put a sanctions. So today topic is end. So thank you very much for watching, and hope I will come back with a new video. Stay blessed.